All right, guys, welcome to another little land investing powwow. Got a cigar here that we're going to light up, and we're just going to go 20, 30, 40 minutes. Who knows? Just sharing everything that I think will serve you on your land investing journey. I've been in the business for 5 years. We've worked with hundreds of folks that have done thousands and thousands of deals and have many folks that are at 6 and 7 figures in this business. And so I've learned a thing or two in that process. And honestly, the land business is changing right now. It's changing in a really big way. So I want to get down to brass tacks with y'all. This is the least unprofessional, the least professional video. And I really don't care. One of the iterations I'm going through myself is doing things my way, right? I'm here in Bali. I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm going to enjoy a cigar. If that's not your style, that's not your style. It's okay. Exit off this video. But what I can promise you is we're going to deliver some sauce here today. So let's get this queued up. Before I do any general housekeeping stuff, I guess I'll give you like a little lowdown. We're running our land investing mastermind in person in Las Vegas. We're fully sold out of VIP tickets. We do have some general admission tickets left, $299. Honestly, it's the best money you'll spend this year, at least in terms of your land business. It's a no-brainer to get there. If this is your dojo, this is your stuff, you got to be there. It should be a little under, right around 300 land investors, some of the best speakers and awesome. So I'll put the link down there for you guys. Otherwise, let's kick off. Let's get this party started. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Give it a little bit of love. Give me some feedback that this is actually doing something for you. Maybe subscribe if you really like it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe leave it a comment. So where to start off, man? I just got off a 4-hour meeting this morning with the team over at Land Insights. It's a software tool that we built for land investors about a year ago. Pretty good cigar. And we had a 4-hour meeting. We're just covering a whole lot of stuff. And the truth is, the business has grown a ton. I mean, it's unrecognizable to where it started over a year ago. And if you've been using it for any amount of time, or at least for the last 6 months, you know how many iterations it's gone through. And I would say it's a bulletproof product. It's an amazing product for selecting markets, scrubbing your data, skip tracing your data. Like it's really, really cool. We actually have a data platform coming out in November where you'll be able to get unlimited ownership data through the tool. And what's interesting is the tool has gotten better. Of course, the number of people leaving the platform have gotten lower, right? That's just the nature of the beast. Hopefully you're creating a product that people want to continue to use. Any software tool is going to have some level of churn, or any subscription tool is going to have some level of churn. So you never want churn to be at zero. It's essentially impossible. Probably means that you're charging too little. But recently, it's really interesting. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a few folks that have left the platform, and we always do an exit interview just to see, what's going on. And in every situation, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. In every situation, it's been because they say, I love the tool. I think what you guys have created is amazing. I see the value. My land business is struggling. I got to hit pause. I'm in the land business. I got to go get a job. I got to go reevaluate if this is even the right opportunity for me. And here I am hanging out with folks on this Land Insights call with the team and seeing these people crush it. Or here I am inside of Leah, seeing folks having their best months ever, their best weeks ever, having their best years ever. And yet there's also another side of that spectrum where people are really struggling right now because the land business has changed. It's changed for a lot of reasons. And also there's just a lot of change in the world right now. So I kind of want to unpack what I'm seeing that's actually working. Now, first off, if you're in this business and you're still using a playbook from even last year or a few years ago, you're SOL. There's a good chance you're having one of the worst years you've ever experienced, because what worked in 2022 and 2021 will not work today. I know some folks out there that they want to cry about that. They want to sob about it. It's like this big victim story. Look, that's business, man. If you're not expecting to have to pivot and to make adjustments and have to make changes, go get a job. You're in the wrong game. Like, there is no benefit to complaining and moaning that things have changed. That's just the nature of the game. And fast forward 2 to 3 years from now, maybe it'll be really easy pickings, and then it ebbs back and forth. So anyways, if you're one of those people, all you need to do is you need to skill up. Okay. What happens is as industries change and mature, and maybe more people come in or what have you, the barrier to entry raises, the barrier to be successful raises. And so you just need to skill up. So let's talk about what that skill up looks like. Well, I know folks that are having literally their best months ever. They're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And it's like, when I look at them, I'm like, okay, well, what are they doing really well? Well, a couple of things. One, they are keenly aware of what markets they're willing to work in, where they're going to spend their marketing dollars, and where they aren't going to spend their marketing dollars. One of the reasons that I see folks that are leaving this business right now, or at least hitting pause, isn't because they can't acquire deals. In fact, I think less people have come into this business this year than maybe last year or years past. So I don't think it's not like an increase in competition. It's not like, oh my God, he can't go acquire deals. No, no, no. It's just gotten harder to sell deals. And I know many land investors where the cash flow conversion cycle has gotten so long that they're like, what the hell do I do? I've got this pipeline, I've listed inventory, I'm not collecting anything from it. Things were selling 60 days ago, or at 60 days, whatever, last year or a few months ago. Now things are selling at 120 or 180. And so the guys and gals that are really at the top of the food chain right now, they are so keenly aware of where they're working because that they need that turnover, right? Any business is going to suffer when the cash conversion cycle starts to extend. If you've got payroll and you're trying to grow marketing or what have you, it gets really, really scary when you can't meet those gaps in the middle. And so the folks that are floundering are the people that have never taken the time to understand what a good market looks like, or never even taken time to understand the fact that this business is predicated on the fact that it's easy to buy land, it's hard to sell land. That's just an honest truth. And if you haven't understood that yet, you're shooting yourself in the foot every single time you're sending marketing. And I've seen markets that were seriously killer markets 2 years ago that have triple the supply right now, triple. And that's maybe the same level of demand or even less demand. So what happens then? Well, there's too much inventory in that market. It becomes really hard to sell your property unless you're fire selling, which is going to compress your margin, or you're offering some crazy terms, or you're just really, really patient. So market selection is more important than it's really ever been, right? Now, there are still hot markets. In fact, if I pull up Land Insights right now, I could show you there are hundreds of counties that are worth working in, and many multiples of that for zip codes that are worth working in. In fact, in the last 30 days, we've actually seen a really big uptick. When we go look at pending inventory compared to 30 days ago, there's actually more inventory pending. So it looks like demand is starting to come back into the market a little bit. There's a lot of forces at play here. Part of the reason that demand is coming back into the market is that this is just kind of the seasonality of land. Things slow down during the summer. People are traveling, what have you. Get the kids back to school in August, and then sales start to uptick. And usually August through October are pretty good, and then it slows down November and December, and then starts to pick up in January again. So some of that supply is coming back into the market, or some of that demand rather is coming back into the market. And so we are seeing things improve. In fact, we've had, I think, like over 15 offers on our properties, written offers on our properties since the beginning of this month, since August 1st, all through the MLS. So we're definitely seeing an uptick. We've had some of our fastest sales all year happen this month. But again, if you can't stay in the game long enough to experience the ups, right, and you get killed on the downs, because every business is going to undulate, that's a problem. So that leads me to the next point. If you're not running a lean operation, again, you just can't afford to stay in this business long term to survive those peaks and troughs, but you have to, right? So my recommendation to you is all the tools that you're running in your business, all the tools that you're using in your business today, ask yourself, do you really need them, right? Or are there better alternatives out there? Like I've seen some folks make the transition from paying 11 or 12 cents per unit of data through data tree or what have you, to moving over to like an unlimited land vision subscription, something like that. That could save you thousands of dollars a year. Same thing. It's like, do you need multiple mapping tools, or do you need all this additional fluff in your business? If you've been in land for a couple of years, you're probably spending a few $1,000s a month on software stack. One of the things that we went through this year is we took inventory on all that. It's like we saved ourselves about $4,000 a month, maybe a little under $4,000 a month, from tools that just weren't high enough ROI to justify staying in, because we needed to get lean, we needed to get nimble. And that was one of the pivots that we had to go through. One of the big ones was over $2,500 a month that we removed from our kind of software stack or tool stack that came from land.com, right? And land.com still works, but it wasn't providing like it had used to. And so boom, that's $30,000 a year that we just bought back. There's a whole slew of additional tools that we ipsed. Again, they were good tools, but we had to get a little more lean. Same thing, our team size has truncated this year. We're down to 5 people on our team, right? And I think that that's kind of where this business is going. I think that's just actually, I wouldn't even say, I think that's just part of the maturation of an entrepreneur, is how do I go deep with people instead of going really wide? And there's kind of like this weird culture in the business building world of team size oddly being like some kind of status symbol. We've all fallen into that. You go to an event, you're like, oh, I have 10 people that work for me. And so I had a lot of B plus, C plus, B minus type people on the team. We had some A players for sure. But what I've learned is that there really is like the 10xer effect for team members. They talk about in the world of software development, 10x engineers. I think that exists in typical roles as well. Maybe not quite 10x, but huge multiples going from a B plus to an A plus player. And so we've truncated our team size. We've really narrowed down and just working with amazing people. We've had to let go of some folks that just weren't the right fit for the team that otherwise we might have kept around. So we pulled our payroll down. Like our actual like floating payroll, not including commissions, is under $10,000 a month right now. And so making big strides there. We've tightened up our marketing. We've become a lot more smart with where we bake in mail into our process. And like, again, just really gotten nimble to where we can weather any storm or most storms at least, because there's a natural undulation. As we move into this election cycle, I don't really know what's going to happen to demand. Things could slow down. And so you got to be able to weather those storms. And again, see a lot of folks that just didn't adapt. They were still running teams that were way too big. They were way too big for their britches, and they paid the price. Now, not everyone's gone out of business or anything like that, but a lot of folks had a really, really rude awakening or had to go and reevaluate. Now, the same thing actually happened. And this is why I don't fret about this stuff. Okay. Once you stayed in the game long enough. So I guess this is just a truism of life, but everything is cyclical. It all ebbs and it flows. There's good times, there's bad times. And I've seen one of these cycles before. And so I feel like I have a little more confidence that like there's always an upswing. Look, at things aren't all bad. Like we're going to have one of our best months all year this month, or maybe very well our best month ever. But again, there's still hard times in between. But at the end of 2022, we came off the heels of an amazing year. Okay, it was our best year to date, and coming into the fall of that year, it was like all the liquidity, all the demand just got sucked out of the business. And I had a lot of friends that went belly up, had to let go of their teams, completely changed their business model. And we held on and we weathered that storm. But this happens. And it happens in any industry, and it happens in any part of your life. Ultimately, there's always going to be a cyclical nature. It just seems like it's almost like a rule for nature. So yeah, it's about getting smart. It's about buttoning up, tightening things down, but not being ignorant to the fact that things change, but also not being ignorant to the fact that things also do improve, right? So where else was I going with that? I talk about this in a lot of videos. One of the easiest ways to shave down costs to build a more efficient system right now is ensuring that there's no waste in your marketing. You're not going after properties that aren't worth pursuing or owners that aren't worth pursuing. One of the next steps beyond that, beyond scrubbing your data, both for the physical nature of properties and for ownership, is also the idea of list stacking. Now, this is a really popular concept in the world of wholesaling that really hasn't been brought over to land, at least not in a big way that I've seen. And so it's like, how can we stack multiple lists to find a really, really motivated cohort, or as motivated as we could possibly dream up? And so what that might look like is saying, hey, show me folks that bought, I don't know, or actually maybe you could go like this. Show me folks that have like an HOA lien. Show me folks that maybe just inherited the property through an interfamily sale 6 months ago. Stacking these filters where, yeah, your data sets are going to be much smaller, but again, you're taking shots on goal. And so if we can stack that with whittling down our list via, bad properties, removing landlocked, all that stuff, and again, getting really, really lean in our operation, there's a time to thrive here. We're seeing folks that are getting a 20x plus ROAS, but they are so pinpoint accurate with their marketing. One of the things that we have seen, even through doing all of this, is a dip in response rates, mainly for direct mail. We're still seeing strong response rates for other marketing channels, but definitely a dip in response rate for sure. And pretty much everyone's seen it. And so what that leads me to think is like, okay, we're going to see a dip in response rates. That's an indicator that you need to become even more efficient in your acquisition systems. I really do, in my heart of hearts, think that we are in the top percentile for an acquisition system and team and process. I really think our way of running acquisitions is light years beyond what most people are doing. And so we can get a bigger throughput through the inputs that are coming into our business. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago who they're averaging 40,000 texts for every deal that they do. Or in our business, we're averaging about 7,500 to maybe 10,000 texts for every deal that we do. And it's lumpy. So like some months are better than others for sure. It's not clean and even where every month you can predict, okay, I'm going to get one contract for every 10,000 deals or for every 10,000 texts or what have you. But to me, that really speaks to the fact that their acquisition process is most likely lacking. There's a few other variables that could make the results so drastically under par. And so I don't even know where I was going with that thought, but yeah, I think that the meta right now, when times get tough or when things start to kind of lean out, is how do we extract more value from what's already there? I've got a good friend, so I won't name any names, who runs a really big land investing business, one of the biggest out there, I think, and they're doing really well right now. They're killing it. But I see a clear path to add an extra $1 million to $2 million a year to their bottom line. And the reason being is they are playing the game of going really wide. Okay, so they don't go very deep. They go really, really wide. They cast a very wide net with their marketing, and they skim the lowest hanging fruit off the top. And that's fine. That model does work. But there is so much money left on the table by not going deep into their CRM, by not going deep into those leads. And so what happens is, like, if the person's not really willing to sell now, it's like, we might touch back with you in a very subtle way through automation or maybe a few manual touches here and there. They said a quarter of their deals happen from leads that are older than 30 days in their CRM. So 75% of their deals are happening from leads that are generated between 1 and 30 days or 1 and 29 days. That's crazy. And there's a lot of folks out there running a very, very similar business right now. I just think there's really no room for that. It's a really, really dangerous game to be playing. The next area that I'm keenly aware of that I think is really hurting folks out there is, again, we've become jaded. We've become fat and spoiled from easy times. Like, you throw up a property on the MLS, you get multiple offers within a couple of weeks, done deal. Now, there's many habits that we have to address here: how we pick our markets, how we underwrite our deals, how we bring inventory to the market in terms of how we price it, the realtors that we do or don't use based off of their skill. Like, so many things are going to drive how quickly we move a property. But one of the truisms in land that is an infallible rule that you can never break is, if your property isn't well positioned and isn't syndicated correctly, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. You shot yourself in the foot before you even had a chance to sell the thing. I'm seeing folks that are still bringing their properties to these bizarre third-party websites that no one goes to and thinking that they're going to sell there, but they're not on the MLS or they're not on any of the mainstream listing sites. So the syndication of the listing is important. Or get into as many places to get us in front of as many people as possible. The second thing that I'm seeing is that, like, they're putting so much trust in their realtor and, like, delegating all the thinking towards how should we position or market this property, that they're listing properties where it's an iPhone image of a tree, and that's their cover photo. And maybe buried way, 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 way deep in there, some drone photo at the very end of the listing. It's like, what the heck are we doing here? That's playing the game on the hardest mode. Retail buyers are emotional, visual. You're not going to get the click, the save, or the view like someone actually going to the property if it's not well positioned out of the gate. It's the top of the funnel. So how do we actually solve that? It's really simple, and yet so few people do it. It just blows my mind. Rats. All right, the first thing that we do, we need our photos to tell a story. Okay, like, a photo has to be worth 1,000 words. Our photo should portray pretty much everything you need to know about the property. We still need to have a good listing description, but we need a good description visually of what the property, what's included with it, any features, benefits, like everything you might need to know. And really, in most platforms, you've got about 4 to 5 photos to tell that full story. At that point, most folks aren't going to go look at the rest of the photos. Now, you still want a big library. You want to give the person the option to do so. And inside of Leo, we have a whole SOP for what kind of photos, how many you need to kind of break this down in a pretty like repeatable scientific process. So it takes all the guesswork out of it. But really, 4 to 5 shots on goal is what you have. Okay, so when someone clicks on the listing, like, they're going to see the first 4 and 5 before they have to expand and go look at the rest. Those 4 or 5 need to tell the full story. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let's say you have a 40-acre property, okay? And let's say it's wooded. Let's say it's got a gravel driveway. Let's say it's a mile away from a lake. Maybe it has a well on it, something like that, okay? So my first image needs to be an aerial photo to tell as much of the story as I possibly can. So I'd have an aerial photo, I'd show the property, I'd have lot outlines on the lot, because otherwise no one's going to even know what they're looking at, okay? I might show the lake in the background. Maybe I have like an arrow that shows the lake. Maybe I have like a little arrow, or maybe just visually you can see the gravel driveway, something like that. Then maybe the next photo is a picture of the well. Maybe the next photo is kind of boots around, looking at the driveway, looking at the entrance of the property to where you can see the interior of the property. Maybe I have another drone photo looking at the property from another angle, something like that, right? And so those photos need to tell the full story. As much as you possibly can, that first photo needs to sum up all the amazing points about the property. And a lot of folks forget that, like, we are definitely in a game of internet marketing. And so you've got to get the eyeballs to even click on the thing, to ideally save the thing or create an action to where they reach out to the realtor. And then the next step is to actually go and view the property. Okay. Now, on top of that, we need to understand that not all realtors are created equal. For the most part, you should understand this is probably your responsibility. At least to coach and guide the realtor of what photos you want. You probably have to edit the photos yourself, show them the positioning or the ranking of how you structure the photos, and you probably have to write the listing description yourself. There are some great realtors out there that will do that for you, but more times than not, they are going to drop the ball. They don't know more than you do about selling land. Very few people do. There are some, but they're very, very rare. Same thing when it actually comes to the disposition process, the showing of the property, the following up with the prospects. Dude, you might pay 6% to one realtor and 6% to the other realtor and have a remarkably different experience. And so who you choose to market and list and show your property is so important. And the expectations that you set with them are also so important, right? Imagine that someone wants to go look at this 40-acre property. The realtor shows up late. They're hard to get in touch with. They show up there. I don't really know anything about the property. It's just kind of like an afterthought to take this listing. That's really common. That buyer might make an offer, but they very well might not. Or they might say, hey, I'm going to make an offer, but they don't want to do it then. But then they never do. And the realtor never follows up with them, right? So if you're not controlling all of the controllables, you really can't complain about, oh, I got to take a break from this business. It's not working. It's like, no. If you're doing everything right and it's still not working, all right, different story. But it would be working if you're doing everything right. That's the honest truth. And that's where folks that, again, have this level of hubris of like, well, I was able to do this in 2022, so I'm gonna either keep on trying the same thing or I'm just gonna throw more stuff at the wall. It's like, dude, ask for help. Like, go get some help. Obviously, what you're doing is not working. And so if what you're doing right now is not working, go get some help. That's the fastest path. If you respect your time, if you respect your income, like go get help. Because someone out there is having their best month ever. Someone out there is having their best quarter ever, the best year ever. And that's always the reframe for me. I'm involved in 3 different businesses. We're actually working on a 4th right now. I know I'm a glutton for punishment. Um, but what's so funny is that, like, of course, I go through hard times for sure. There's struggles in the business. There's interpersonal problems. There's team problems. There's like dips and lead flow. There's always problems. No one's infallible with problems, no matter how long you've been in business. I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos still has problems. He still has problems that probably feel insurmountable, problems that like cannot be overcome. But he's actually in a worse situation because he doesn't really have peers to compare himself to. You see, in all the little endeavors that I'm involved in, I always think the reframe for me is like, I guarantee you that right now, someone in the same little industry as me or same general industry as me is having their best month ever, their best week ever, maybe their best day ever, hell, maybe their best year ever. And so if I'm going through some kind of struggle, it's just because they know something that I don't know, or frankly, they're just better than I am. But the good news is, like, where you're at right now is not static. You're not stuck there. You're capable of change, but you typically have to do something that you've never done before, right? So either it's implementing new things that you have to learn from someone else, or hell, it's developing the meta skill of actually asking for help and putting your ego aside. And that's a tough pill to swallow. I think that's why entrepreneurship is one of the greatest personal development endeavors because you are the bottleneck. It's you. It's always you. And even if it's a disconnect in the information you don't have, that might feel outside of yourself, it's still your problem because you might have too much pride to go ask for help or, whatever it is. And so that's a you thing. And so it's like you start asking yourself, well, why am I scared to ask for help? Or why am I scared to invest in myself to get help? Well, maybe you don't believe in yourself. Why don't I believe in myself? Well, when I was in 7th grade, I got held back. And the year before that, I went up to do like a presentation in my science class and I tripped and stumbled and I fell on my face and I looked like an idiot. And everyone laughed at me. It's like, okay, so that's still ruling your life. Great. It's like these people that we get an interface with, it's so fascinating on the coaching side. While this looks like a B2B thing, like inside of Lee, like, oh, you help other business owners or businesses. No, we help consumers. Ultimately, the people that we work with are consumers. They're not business owners yet. Very few of them are. It's so rare. All right. Most of these folks are brand new to business, the vast majority of them. I'd say probably 2/3 are brand new to business, a third are seasoned. But across the board, they're all green in the land world. Like, even if you've been in this business for 24 months, in my opinion, you're still kind of green. especially if you've been in it for 24 months and like your results are mid. Like, you're green. That's okay. And so in that process, being in this more like B2C world, dude, it's so fascinating to see these people that you talk to that just come to you with this like baggage of limiting beliefs. And it's like, you see right through it, but at the same time, it's like you can't change someone's mind. Like they got to go through that journey themselves. As much as you might be like, yo, you are getting in your own way here. That's really enough to push them over the edge. They usually need to go and find that out the hard way and be ready for that lesson. Like it's all about the timing of it. And so I just find it so fascinating. I think it's the beauty of business. It's like the scoreboard don't lie. It really doesn't lie. And usually, maybe always, it's you. Like you get dealt bad hands. There are hands that get dealt to you that are so far out of your control. We say feel like it, but how you recover and what you do next is up to you. And I love that. That's beautiful to me. And if you look at like most of the great businesses of our generation, Airbnb, Facebook, Amazon, like all the big giants of industry. If you looked at their kind of like, you like road mapped out their path, there were so many inflection points and pivots they had to make to stay in business or to go chase what was greener pastures. And so it's like this game is always a game of zigzagging and meandering. The folks that are new think it's like somehow this linear path, and it's not. And often what's working today might not work tomorrow, and that's just the natural order of things. That's kind of like Marcus Aurelius and like the Stoics, like they used to talk about. You just expect bad things to happen. Like you expect every day you wake up, you're going to come across ungrateful, rude, evil, mean, wicked spirited people. Problems are going to arise. Shit's going to happen. You're going to get slapped around. And when you come to expect it, when it happens, it's like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I'll navigate through it. And it's not so much about being a pessimist, but it's like understanding the law and order of how this stuff actually works, I think is really important. And so it just gives you perspective. And with that, when things arise, it's like, yeah, par for the course. All right, what are we going to do from here? And those are the people that I love. Those are the people that inspire me the most. Those are the people that change the world in a lot of ways, right? It's like they bend reality to their will, and that's such a beautiful thing. I think it's so cool. Now, totally tangential, but I think the question is like when times get tough or things become challenging, there's an inflection point. How do you also not make that your identity? How do you also not get completely lost in the sauce? How do you also keep everything outside of your life balanced? How do you still keep your faith, and how do you still keep your level of optimism, and like, yeah, how do you not let this encroach and eat into every part of your life? And I've been there, you know. And I think that the truth is that you got to remember that this is really all just a game to buy our time. Like it's a way to pass the time while we're on this earth. It's nothing more than that. And yeah, there's struggle, and you got to get out of some level of struggle, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, you for sure need to get into a position where you have a roof over your head and you have food coming in and you can take care of yourself, and like you've got to have your basic necessities met. But everything in excess of that is ultimately just a game. And so when you lose a game of Monopoly, like you don't take that home with you. You don't get enraged or like think about it 24/7 all day long and just like let it fester. It's the same thing here. Ultimately, I think most people that really gravitate towards business and do really well in it are folks that need to play a game to like deal with the existential crisis of what it means to be a human. And that's fine. Like we need games. Games are important, but again, it's just a game. It's just a game. And so trying to not take things so seriously, I think is just a valuable rule. And when you don't take things so seriously, there's less of like an emotional charge with them. When there's less of an emotional charge, you're less so to get in your own way. And what I mean by it's like you're more likely to stick around. Like you're not going to burn yourself out at both ends. And so when you can give yourself a little grace and just be like, it's a fucking game. It's nothing but a game. I know why I'm playing the game. I'm playing the game for fun, playing the game to get better, to learn about myself, to learn about the world, to maybe do something in the world to provide some impact. But that's it. It's nothing more than that. And so I think that's partially why I see this trend, and I see it within myself and I see it within others. When you do arrive to the arbitrary goals that you've set for yourself in your business, usually there's like this weird, like little bit of like excitement and you're like elated, followed by like a big what the F dip. And then like the existential crisis comes back and rears its ugly head. That's why I think so many folks that get to that point, they start leaning on faith or religion or some kind of outlet to find answers because they figured that this was going to deliver them all the things that they wanted, and it can't. And that's the cool thing as well. Like when you know that, you also don't try to squeeze out all the meaning of life through something that can only deliver you so much, you know? Like you wouldn't do that in your relationship. You wouldn't try to make your relationship your everything. You wouldn't make it a false idol. But so many folks have made business a false idol. And so when you're getting your needs met elsewhere and you're contented, again, it's less of an emotional charge there. And I just see that path. I see that happening with a lot of folks. And it's been going on with me for a while now. And I don't have the answers. Funnily enough, I'm actually about to partake in reading the Bible for fun, just to see what it's all about. So I think it's just part of that process of like, yeah, I don't know. You get to where you thought you wanted to be, and then you start asking yourself questions. This isn't really what I thought it was, and I still have all these doubts and looking for something more. And I don't even know if religion per se or faith or whatever you want to call it can even deliver those things either. But it's less of a false idol, I think, to some extent. And so, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that ultimately. I think on top of that too, trying to figure out like what are you optimizing for too. You see, like when times get tough, if you're just optimizing for growth and you haven't optimized for anything else like joy, like fulfillment, like satisfaction, like enjoying the work, like living a lifestyle that actually serves you, well, when things dip or things get hard, it's like you got nothing else to live for. And so the thing that you put all your eggs in that basket isn't delivering it to you. And so I've learned that lesson, especially in the last year and a half. And frankly, that's why I'm filming this sitting on top of like this weird tree house villa in Bali. It's because I wanted to also optimize for things outside of business. And when life is good outside of it, the natural undulations just don't matter as much. And I think for a lot of us that are getting started or early on, like you think that scale and growth and more money is like the thing that you're optimizing for. Maybe you are in the beginning, but honestly, that typically is a dead end. And so I think the things that we need to optimize for, like quality of life, like what does our life look like outside of this? I optimized for moving to Las Vegas to try to save on taxes, but I was optimizing for the wrong thing. It wasn't optimal for me. It was maybe optimal for my bank account, but I don't think that's a wise trade. And that's part of the reason that we got up and left and moved to a foreign country, because it feels much more aligned with the things that I actually want to optimize for, which is like I want more free time. And so the workday for stateside people ends here at like 10 a.m. Everyone's pretty much asleep at that point. And you can still certainly work, and I still do. And it's way past 10 a.m. right now, but it's a different dynamic. It's more on your terms. I want to optimize working on projects that make me feel creative, like projects that aren't just like, oh, I got to do this meeting or like I got to do this thing or da 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 da. And some of that needs to be done. I understand that you need to grit your teeth and get stuff done, but even if it's a dip in productivity or efficiency or growth, I much rather play games that I'm actually going to enjoy, even if it's a slight a step back for how quickly we can grow. I want to spend my time outside of work partaking in activities that I enjoy. Here we get to surf and work out and box and go try great restaurants and ride motorcycles and adventure. We're going fishing this week. We're going to go out to the mountains next weekend and go out by the volcano. Like those are all things that fill up my cup. And like, even if you had a bad day at work, like that stuff doesn't really matter as much when you're getting to do the things that you love to do outside of it. It's like, how can you create a game where you feel lucky all the time? Where you're like, damn, I can't believe this is my life. And the truth is, it doesn't take as much money as people might think to do that. It really doesn't. We had a good friend here who was with us for, a little under 2 months when he came here to Bali. And he does well for himself, but he's certainly not, like making millions. Like you don't have to, right? And I see people here that are like doing copywriting and they're making like $4,000 a month or $3,500 a month, and they were still able to reinvent their life and live life on their own terms. So it's like a lot of people giving this whole money objection or that later down the road. And I just think that's it's a load of crap. And honestly, again, it's just a clear, open display of your limiting beliefs more than anything. So I just find that so fascinating. And then it's like the last thing is like, are you in an area where you're around like-minded people? Like we are very much a product of our environment. And it seems like a lot of the expats here have opted to live life on their terms. And that's inspiring to be around. And you meet like-minded people. And even beyond that, so the locals that you interface with, for the most part, like you feel that they've selected joy over anything else. And that rubs off on you. So you just don't get that in America. It's just people are optimizing for status. They're optimizing for identity and being an individual and being impressive. And yeah, just not what I want to optimize for. But I think knowing what you actually want to optimize for is so important. And then creating that. And even if you don't have the bank account that you want, or the size of the team, of the business, like don't worry, just go and do that because it'll allow you to weather these storms. And I really do believe that it's just staying in the game. I think that is just about everything. It's like, how do we stay in the game? That's the only thing I want to think about. So, well, what else do I want to talk about? There's a lot of cool things that we're working on, I guess I could share that I'm quite excited about. As you guys know, we're hosting our mastermind in Las Vegas. It's coming up October 11th, 12th, and 13th. We sold out of the VIP tickets twice, 2 times over again, which is awesome. We're probably about a little over a third of the way sold out of the general admission tickets. We got people flying out from Germany and South America and Italy and Norway. I mean, like all over. That's so cool to have the opportunity to get in these rooms. People are coming from all over the world that are like-minded, that are working the same little domain. It's just super exciting. So that's coming up in October. We're leaving Bali in a couple of weeks to go back to the States. We're going to a wedding, and then we're going kind of backpacking Europe for 2 weeks. We're going to go to Paris, and then like Positano, Amalfi Coast area in Italy, and then Split, Croatia. Then we're going to go fly back to Seattle, see Sarah's family, then go to Oregon, see part of my family, then go to Las Vegas, do the event, and then we're going to hop on a plane and fly back here. And then we're going to settle down. So end of October, we'll be signing our lease, like getting locked in. And we're going to be here for a few months. Then we're going to go to Turkey, and we're going to come back, and we're just going to like stay here for like a year, like just lock in, enjoy life here, dial back the travel a little bit. I'm sure we'll still bounce around. There's like 27,000 Indonesian islands, literally no exaggeration. So there's places to go check out. But I think we're going to dial it back a little bit. And on top of that, on the work side, in November, we're releasing the data platform inside of Land Insights. So ownership data, so cool. It'll be a la carte for users at 6 cents a record automatically. If you're a Land Insights user, automatically it'll be at 6 cents a record. That comes with all the other bells and whistles inside of Land Insights. Comes with free scrubs for like landlocked scrubbing, stuff like that. And then unlimited data if you want an unlimited data plan that's inside the tool as well. We did a pre-sale and sold out like within minutes for the pre-sale of that, which is awesome. Those people got a discounted rate to join. So that's coming out. With that, there's a whole domino effect of improvements that are going to be made within the platform. So it improves scrub capabilities, and there's so much that happens by owning that data and not having to ping other databases. Because right now it's like we have to use a lot of different databases that sometimes say different things, and so you get some funky results in some cases. And that's namely as it relates to like scrubbing features, right? What's really cool is like in the last few months, we took our landlocked scrubbing, which is one of the hardest scrub features to build, from 75% up to 90% accuracy. And so we've made huge strides there, but it's going to go through the roof in terms of accuracy by actually owning that data. We've got our comping tool coming out free for Land Insights users. That is absolutely insane. I've showed this to people inside of Leah that were literally like, dude, I'd pay $3,000 a month to have access to that. It's free for Land Insights users. It's bananas. It's buying back our team collectively 3 to 6 hours a day, depending on the day. We use it in pretty much every part of the business. You plug it in, it spits it out. It's insane. And it comes with so many really cool additional features that come with it. We've got a drone editing, photo editing tool for listings coming out next month, actually in September. So you can upload your listing images and we'll go and edit them with you. It's really cool, super slick. And then we've got some really cool stuff coming out at the beginning of the year for Land Insights that I won't talk about yet. That's going to be really awesome, mainly for beginners. So like right now, Land Insights is really built for folks that are doing really at least a deal a month. And this is about to all change. And so there's folks that want access to some of the features, but aren't ready for the full kit and caboodle. And so this is really built for the newer folks that'll eventually kind of grow into the full bore version of Land Insights, which honestly, in this market conditions, is a non-negotiable. I just don't know how you'd be successful without it. Like I'm that serious about it, because there are so few good markets out there right now, and to be wasting time in bad markets, to be wasting time with inaccurate offers, to be wasting time chasing properties that aren't a good fit